Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? I hope everybody's doing well. I had a really interesting day today. I was really busy, and I was like, should I go live? And I decided that I was going to go live, and I put a whole bunch of things together that I'd like to talk about. One of the first things that I want to go over, for those of you who may or may not have seen it, I made a community post this afternoon on my channel that I think is really important, and I want everyone to be aware of it. I did send this out to my moderators, so if you've been in the Discord, you've probably seen it. But here we go, let's do this. Attention to all of my wonderful friends, subscribers, and moderators. I've been doing some thinking and reflecting over the past couple of days, and I'm letting it be known here to all who follow my channel that I embrace forgiveness, kindness, and yes, even second chances. With much drama, hurt, and infighting and deliberate hurt going on in our YouTube community, I have decided to hit the refresh button. It is a new day and a new beginning, so I just want to let you all know that I respect and care about you. And from today moving forward, most everyone is still welcome here. Those who choose to not follow the channel rules that I have set forth will still be unwelcome. If we have had issues in the past or disagreements, they are put behind us and a new fresh start begins now. And these are my channel rules that I would like everyone to be aware of and to follow. Everyone has the right to be respected and treated kindly. No one will be allowed to scream or disrespect anyone, including my moderators or the channel or any other channel. There will be no channel bashing or creator bashing allowed in this space. No family accusing or bashing in any manner. No conspiracy theories are welcome here either. And no trolls will be allowed. If you fail to abide by these rules, you will be timed out and eventually hidden. If after these things you still refuse to follow the rules, you will be banned from my channel. This is a fact-based channel, and as I do allow some speculation, of course, we try very hard to only use the facts we know and not create ones that we do not. I thank all of you who have made this channel a safe space and peaceful. The practice of peace and reconciliation is one of the most vital and artistic things of human actions. Peace cannot be kept by force. It can only be achieved by understanding. Be safe, everyone. So I hope that just sets forth some parameters. There's just been a lot of things going on. I know everybody that knows this knows about all of this stuff that's gone on in our community. And I really feel that this is a way forward. I want it to happen so badly. I just can't tell you. I know that there's still people out there that don't. And those are the ones that are the people that will not be allowed to be here. So as long as you follow those, we will have a great discourse here and Discord. The conversations that we can have around all of these cases that we cover are important. And I think that it's really hard at times to accept others' opinions on things or thoughts. I'm guilty of it. There are times when I don't want to listen to certain things, and we all need to try to open our minds and welcome people who have different thought processes than us. Nothing's happened, Joe. I just wanted to set down parameters for the channel so that everybody kind of knew what was to be expected of everybody. I love the fact that we can come here and come together and talk about things. And I know a lot of you are going to notice that there may be somebody in here tonight or somebody that comes tomorrow or whatever that you think I may have had issues with in the past or whatever. But as I said today, that's done. Okay, we're going to move forward and we're going to go on from here as long as the rules are followed. So let's just kind of jump into it. There is so much going on with Delphi, even though there isn't. And I think one of the things I want to say first, I think I saw Real Chill Graz in here. Graz, are you in here? I can't believe it. I miss you. I'm so glad you're here listening. I miss you, really. I'm so glad you're here. Hey, AJ. Hey, Sleuth. Annie, so good to see you. Miranda, Tech Death, always good to see you. Everyone, the music that you listened to in the beginning on my intro was Tech Death music, so head over to his channel and check that out. True Crime Maria, how are you doing? So good to see you. I'm so glad you're here with us. Hey, Grizz, good to see you too. I'm glad everybody's here. So we're going to talk tonight about looking for bridge guy in a predator, in a sea of perverts. I think we can all agree that the more we cover this case and the more we cover that area of the country, they're just more and more coming out of the walls. I think somebody posted on my thumbnail earlier that they just keep seeping out of the woodwork. And it's true. I mean, it's like they're everywhere. So one of the things that I was thinking about today, and you guys bear with me, I wrote a lot of this down in my notebook on the run because I was out doing a lot of things today. So I took my notebook with me so that I could get these notes down. So please bear with me as I go through this. Maria, I love it. I love it. We've missed you, Graz. Aren't refresh buttons a great thing? Yeah, I think we needed one. And I'm hoping that we can all move forward. But I'm so happy to see you. So anyway, let's go back and talk about Delphi. One of the things that came to mind when I was thinking about this today was that there's too many coincidences for the Kleins to not be involved on some level in this case. If it's a relative, a friend, or an acquaintance, it could be that, and it's not them directly. But if that's the case, will Kagan break and give that person up? Don't you think he would have done that by now? So these are kind of thoughts that I just had, and I'm going to kind of throw them out there, you guys. So, oh, I love you, Graz. He's awesome. We just all miss you so much. So is law enforcement closing in? They're obviously learning a lot. They're releasing social media app information on Yellow and Yubo. That must have a strong connection, correct? Since law enforcement's heading to France, you wouldn't think they would spend the time nor the money to go all the way over there if there wasn't something, correct? Hey, Vegas, thank you so much. As the investigators told Kagan during the interrogation of him, having one thing pointing at you could be a nothing. But when things begin to stack up one on top of the other, things start to become clear. So do you think law enforcement is closing in, and they're just making sure that a good defense cannot argue that it was another user on one of those apps, or that they didn't check all avenues. They're covering all bases for a possible potential defense, in my opinion. And all of that takes time. What if they're suspects in custody and they're just building a case? They can take as long as they want, correct? Since the Anthony underscore shots profile was active on other social media, they could be looking for witnesses for the prosecution who interacted with the profile that would help boost their case against them. Law enforcement believes that the Anthony underscore shots profile is the key to Bridge Guy, I do believe. And they may very well know who he is, but they need to shore up their case. So he cannot say, but so many people had access to that. Anyone could have done this at trial. Law enforcement has said 2 people phonetically had access to the Anthony underscore shots account within the Klein household. To me, that is huge. You cannot disregard that. So 2 people were using it. Could some of the people making loud arguments online that police are no longer focused on the Kleins be a part of this giant CSAM ring that is supposedly being connected to this case? I know we've talked about it here, but we all know there's predators among us. We know that it's very possible that Bridge Guy comes into these chats, goes into Reddit, and talks there as well. It's very possible. And if they don't, they watch. But I'm serious when I say there are predators among us. Many people have difficulty understanding why Tony or Kagan haven't been arrested and charged if law enforcement knows that they've committed this crime. And the public seems very baffled why these 2 have not been charged if law enforcement is so convinced that it's them. Because of that confusion, they assume that law enforcement must have a different POI or not know who it is. Murder cases are notoriously difficult to solve. Even if you have definitive proof, you still have to prove that in a court of law beyond a reasonable doubt. And that takes time to build that case. We need to keep in mind that we, the public, know more or less nothing about this case. Even with all the information that we have now, we only hold a chapter of this story. Law enforcement has the whole book. And with what very little evidence we do know, it does look pretty damning against Kagan and Tony. I would be very surprised if neither of them have anything to do with it and it's just one big coincidence. The odds of that happening seems unrealistic to me. This case, however, always has the potential to surprise, though. People have questioned whether the release of the transcripts falls under the fruit of the poisonous tree. And the fact that law enforcement apparently cleared or didn't respond at all to the murder sheet's double check before releasing the transcript shows that law enforcement professionals themselves are highly confident that there were no violations. We must remember that law enforcement convicts no one. that is the prosecutor's job. You can, in fact, be arrested multiple times for the same crime, but you can only be tried once, unless new information comes to light, and then they can try you again. If the prosecution is considering the death penalty in this case, do you think that makes it even a much more high-profile case? And wouldn't that require that the prosecution be extremely careful in how the case is handled and not rush? I do. I mean, I kind of feel that way myself. Police are allowed to lie or bend the truth. However, they are not allowed to manufacture evidence and present it to a suspect. With this case being so high profile as it is, I suspect they are doing everything by the book because they know eventually it's going to be public record. And I've said this before, these types of cases can make or break careers. When looking at cases of CSAM, Josh Duggar comes to mind, the current recent case of the CNN producer. It took years before these people were arrested. They had to prove with evidence that it was these particular individuals who were looking up and downloading or sharing the CSAM. This is not an easy task if devices are shared or accessible to others. So I think that's one of the things too that happens with this case with the Kleins, because when we look at them, we know that at least two people in the house were sharing things and, had the possibility of one or the other doing certain things. Law enforcement tells us that Kagan, you were one of the last to speak to Libby. Kagan tells Barbara McDonald he was the last to speak to her. I'm going to say that again. Law enforcement tells Kagan in the interrogation, you were one of the last to speak to Libby. But in the Barbara McDonald interview, he says he was the last to speak to her. Is this a slip up on his part? Did he give something away here unwittingly? Hey, Digital. Hey, Miss Thang. Law enforcement states Libby was infatuated with Anthony Schatz. And if that's the case, it's very easy to see why that would be. He was speaking to her friends. I think she felt comfortable because of that. So there's a lot there, I think, with that statement. So one of the things that I wrote down today was there's a lot of people who throw out reasons to not want to believe things. So I'm going to give you the reason and then kind of give you what my thought is on it. The reason I'm having trouble understanding how it could be the Kleins is that it seems like they would have been arrested by now. We hear that a lot. It took decades before Gary Ridgway was caught and nearly 2 decades before Anthony Palma was caught, yet police knew who the killers were long before that in both cases. Thanks, Lisa. There would be some sort of evidence of them luring or meeting the girls at the bridge that day. Well, I don't necessarily think that that's true. We know from the transcripts that the Anthony Schatz account was slated to meet with Libby. We know that. I would also think there would be some form of DNA evidence linking them. I think we've all seen that as well. What if there is, but they may be having difficulty arresting Tony or Kagan because their DNA profiles may be too similar to distinguish because they are father and son, and the DNA they have could be so degraded to the point where such a distinction is impossible. Now, I do know that mitochondrial DNA would be able to determine the difference between father and son, but I just am going off of the thought that if the DNA they have is degraded because possibly it is a mixture of the victims and there'd be more blood of the victims. Paul Foles talked to us about this in the HLN special in February, that's what he thinks. That's his thoughts on this case, is that yes, they have DNA, but it's a mixture and there is more of the girl's DNA than there is the perpetrator. So when you add on top of that, neither of them look like Bridge Guy, it's pretty easy to have reasonable doubt. And of course, this goes back to the sketches. This goes back to the video, the still photos of Bridge Guy. And I know that they have been analyzed and overanalyzed online. I get that. We've seen everything done with these photographs, or not photographs, I apologize, these sketches and these still images from the video as well as the video. Both of them look like they could be Bridge Guy. Again, sketches are sketches. They're not photographs. Those are what possibly Bridge Guy could look like. They are not a photograph of Bridge Guy in any way, shape, or form. So we have to keep reminding ourselves of that. It makes more sense to me that perhaps someone surrounding the Kleins is involved. But even with that, I feel like police would have figured it out. When people say that, this is my response to that. You have zero evidence indicating this. It just seems to make more sense to you, but you are ignoring all of the evidence that points to Kagan Klein and Tony Klein. This could be confirmation bias. Who is Deputy Clinton? Does anybody out there know? Did anybody out there go try to figure out who Deputy Clinton is? Deputy Clinton is the deputy that was in the interrogation with Vito. And it's a mystery. Could not locate him in all of Indiana law enforcement. Is it possible that he was FBI? When they did the initial search of the Klein's home on February 25th, 2017, there was no evidence he may be involved. The forensic examinations of all social media and devices had not even been started at that time. Of course, I don't think they would have thought that he was involved. I mean, that's just my thought on it. The statistics stating that these would be stranger committed offenses are so against it. I mean, the statistics really state that this will be somebody that they know or were acquainted with. Again, Anthony Schatz. But with that being said, if this turns out to be somebody where they were the information that they had was shared with Bridge Guy in some of this CSAM ring or whatever, then yeah, that could definitely be somebody that is unknown that did the crime. But being raised with the level of violence that Kagan was at least happening in the home around him makes anything normal and any evil possible. Hey, Alex Krychek, thank you. It's like when you grow up with violence like that and abuse, and you see it on a daily basis, it makes it normal, and it makes any other kind of violence normal as well, and any evil possible. And this is correct, Sleuth. Forensic data pulled from one of Kagan's phones may have provided an alibi. Data shows him using Wi-Fi on Country Club Road during the murders. And that is true. And it is very, very true. And Digital says Paul Hulse commented on the DNA in this case, and he is the Golden State investigator, and he pretty much said, good luck with that. I believe it was on the HLN Down the Hill podcast. It was on he talked about it in February on the special, the Down the Hill episodes, the special where Barbara McDonald interviews Kagan. I do believe, though, that law enforcement made one huge mistake in this case right off the get-go. And that was not securing the iPhone 5C. It was the most current phone being used, and I'm certain it held valuable evidence. And to just up and disregard social media from the get-go without any real forensic analysis being done, to me, that just was not something that should have happened. If Kagan did, in fact, fail that polygraph on the 25th, I would have thought that would have been a huge red flag. Now, I know polygraphs are not allowed in court, and I know that a lot of people have different views of them, but law enforcement uses them all the time. Companies actually use them to screen hiring employees. So there is some value to them. And I just, you've got two little girls that have been brutally murdered. I think that these things should have been, looked at more rather than maybe tabled. And again, we don't know. We don't have the whole book. We only have one chapter. We'll probably find out a lot of things that happened that we had no idea happened, that sent them whatever direction they went in 2017. And I think we'll probably all be shocked. An investigation is an ongoing process. It's fluid. It's a very fluid event. And what law enforcement knows today, they didn't necessarily know 1 or 2 years ago. We have to remember that. I know a lot of assumptions have been made that law enforcement knew all this stuff way back in 2017, and I don't necessarily believe that. I do know that Doug Carter told us in 2019 that they were going back to the beginning, and it was if they were starting from the beginning. And if that's the case, and if all of that is true, then you can see why we're where we are today. It's only 3 years instead of 5. Sadly, for the girls. Law enforcement always has strong suspicions, and I'm certain that it's the same in this case. So, just because law enforcement has strong suspicions about something or someone, that's not something that's going to fly with a prosecutor. You can't walk into a prosecutor's office and say, we have a really strong suspicion that this is our guy. We have a really strong suspicion that this is who did this crime. You need more than that. You can't just use mere suspicion. You must gather evidence, witness testimony. You need physical evidence, direct evidence. You need to have, there's always circumstantial evidence. And sometimes you don't get them all. Sometimes you won't get the physical evidence that you need, but you have a ton of circumstantial evidence. There has been many cases tried on just circumstantial evidence. And I believe right now they have a really good circumstantial case against these guys. I think the one thing that they're looking for is to be able to place them definitively at the bridge that day. So you have to gather all that before an arrest can be made and going to trial and then hopefully obtaining a conviction. So you have to break a case down into sections and, putting it together, and the evidence gathering and collection truly is the law enforcement's responsibility, although prosecutors and special prosecutors can get involved in that. So yeah, it's definitely a possibility. The background of Tony Orkagan's family history, the physical violence towards children and women, the killing of animals in front of children, mind you, peeping Tom, the interest sexually in very young girls, the catfishing angle, the searches on their devices about Delphi while they were on vacation in Vegas, how long DNA remains on a body, multiple searches over time of Bridge Guy's voice and still photos over and over as law enforcement told them. It's almost as if there's a gag order on where Tony Klein is. Nobody seems to be able to verify that. If he's still working, is he just holed up at home? Do they still have his home under surveillance? Because we do know at one time they did. I believe they're currently processing evidence. And I believe a lot of it is the forensic technology evidence. And as they continue to get the tips in, I believe that they're getting a lot of tips based on what Doug Carter said in February after they released the Anthony Shots information. And as they get those tips in, they have to go through all of that evidence gathering from the social media accounts. They have to get all that, and that can be labor intensive. Sometimes they have to go to court to obtain it. There's just so many different things, and it all, like I said, it all takes time. It takes time to track it as well, and I do believe that that's what they're doing. I want to say this towards all of what I just said. We have to remember Occam's razor. When faced with two equally good hypotheses, always choose the simplest. And I've always said that. I used to say it all the time years ago on social media, but keep it simple. The more we build this thing out and make this thing out to be crazy, I think we do ourselves a disservice. We just need to try to stay with the facts of the case. And I know it's not easy to do, because when there's a vacuum of information, we as human beings want to fill that vacuum. So, it's just human nature to want to do that. So I found a video that I hadn't seen before today, and I wanted to share it with you guys. Give me a minute, and I'm going to pull it up on my screen and share it with us. And I thought we would play this, and this is this is Mike Patty talking about the interview with Mike after all this murder sheet stuff broke.
New at 11, we are hearing from the family of Libby German after developments in the unsolved Delphi murders case. Tonight, our Emily Longnecker sat down with Libby's grandfather to discuss the details of her social media use before her death.
It was shocking to me.
That's how Mike Patty describes learning that someone using the social media profile Anthony_Shots had been talking online with his granddaughter Libby before her death, and that whoever was using that profile the day Libby and Abby Williams were murdered had plans to meet Libby on a trail near Delphi that same day, and ended up being one of the last people to talk with the teen before she and Abby were killed.
I've been led along by the police this entire time that there wasn't any information there. Obviously, that was a piece of information they were holding tight to their vest.
But those details came out last month when a pair of local podcasters found a transcript online of an interview police did with this man, Kegan Kline, in August 2020, shortly after they arrested him on child exploitation charges. That 194-page document has since been sealed, but in it, investigators questioned Kline about the social media profile they say he admitted to creating 6 months before Libby and Abby were murdered to meet and get nude photos from underage girls.
It really is just, it takes your breath away to actually see that, so close, here, Midwestern, Central Indiana atmosphere, and to see somebody that actually goes out and actually plans and stalks and preys on our children. It's sickening.
Kline has never been named a suspect in Abby and Libby's murders. Police searched his Peru, Indiana home 11 days after the girls' bodies were found and took several phones and other electronic devices. Investigators say what they found led to the current charges Kline is set to stand trial for in September. The transcript also showed that investigators questioned Kline about whether his father, who Kline lived with, had access to the Anthony_Shots profile.
You can't negate the fact that they're definitely very interested in this account, right? And who had access to that, who was using that account. And, is there a there? Potentially. But, again, I got to kind of rely on the investigative team.
This week, a new call from investigators asking for anyone who may have had contact with Anthony_Shots on the social media dating app Yellow or Yubo, described as Tinder for teens.
Here's an opportunity to really help and aid in this space, and help in this case.
Patty says he believes it's the public's help that will finally help investigators connect the dots they need to get justice for his granddaughter Libby and Abby Williams.
It's what's gotten us to this point. It just keeps taking us further. And to collectively, with everybody's help, we're going to get this guy.
Now, if you have any information about the Anthony Shots account, send an email to investigators tonight. We also have this email address and the latest on the investigation posted right now. It's on WTHR.com/Delphi.
So yeah, I wanted to share that with everybody. I thought I had not seen or heard that interview with Mike. So when I happened to run across it, I thought it was something of value worth sharing. One of the things that I thought was extremely interesting that Mike had to say was that he was absolutely shocked that this happened in rural Indiana, and that somebody could actually be out there stalking their children. And I think that goes back to what we've been talking about the last few lives about, we've been going over that and talking about how to keep our kids safe and what are the things that we can do when talking to them and all of that what can we do collectively as a community to get that message out, that there are predators everywhere and that there's predators out there preying on our kids. Another thing that can be a problem in trying to get all this information and this evidence that the law enforcement needs, there's a lot of these devices that have ways to hide these apps and hide information that some of us don't even or aren't even aware of. I've had many conversations recently with some of my friends in the community about how easy it is for people to hide information on their cell phones where you can't see it or find it, and it looks like you just have some normal thing, but underneath and hidden in those layers of that application is a way for you to hide stuff. Now, I know that the FBI and any of the law enforcement lab people that do this for a living probably know exactly what to look for and where to go. But again, all of this takes time. It's not something that you just get in the snap of your fingers and boom, it's there. These things take time. So depending on how many witnesses they have, if these people have digital forensic evidence, whether it be screenshots or whether it be old Facebook messages or Instagram messages or whatever it is, it takes a while for them to get that and have to go through all of that. And I just try to keep that in the forefront of my mind as we talk about as we just go forward with the case, and we're waiting patiently, obviously, for something to break. And I know that it's all over the place. We've got people out there saying that, something's going to happen in the next month or two. There's an arrest imminent. I mean, there's just all kinds of things, but we can just, keep plodding along and going from one topic to the other. But I think one of the things that we need to do is really get the message out about the predatory nature of what's happening online and really talk about that. And I was really happy to see that the captain put out a really good video about that very topic. So, my thing will be to creators to try to get behind them, to get something out there about that. So we can reach more people and talk about it. And then with that being said, Perry Freeman, if you're not familiar with him, he is, hey, Angel Bear, he is Cop Facts on YouTube. And he just put out a short film regarding human trafficking. And if you haven't seen it, it is well worth the watch. This film is very, very well done. It's very difficult to watch, in my opinion. I was in tears at the end. But to know that that's happening every day in this country and everywhere is just, hey, RJ, so good to see you, is heartbreaking. To know that our kids, Maria, thank you so much for dropping that. I'm going to have Perry on Saturday night. He's going to be my guest. So I hope that you all will return on Saturday, and we're going to have a really good conversation. He is so knowledgeable about homicides and how investigations work and everything that goes into it. And as what we as creators and consumers of true crime, what our ethics should be around it. That's one of the things that I really like about him so much, because he's not afraid to talk about that and say, you've got to be careful because you can hurt cases if you aren't. And I love that about him. So I'm really anxious, you guys. What is it, RJ? RJ says he has something that's been making him want to never look at Delphi again. And I was hoping you could talk about it. What is it? You are so sweet. Thank you. Yeah, it's, he's just a really, really good resource. And I think Graz has had him on his show before. I'm pretty sure he has. But I was really happy. No, I don't know what that is. So yeah, we don't bash creators here for any reason. Let's just keep that out of here because all that does is cause issues, and I don't want that here. You can talk about it outside of here. That's totally fine with me, but please don't do it in the chat at all. There's a ton of things out there on Delphi that are in horrible taste. People don't stop and think before they make things or do things. We could have whole shows about it, but I just that's not what I'm about, and I just don't really want to do that. So I really think that you guys will enjoy Perry Freeman, and I'm really looking forward to talking to him, and we'll be able to ask him questions, and I'm sure that we'll see how that goes, how the questions go, but he's looking forward to it. I have had a couple of really good conversations with him, and I was really amazed when I asked him if he would come and be on my show, because I don't even have 1,000 subscribers yet. So I thought, I'm just this little tiny channel, and I was really happy when he said that he would be happy to come on. So I'm looking forward to it. And, when we were talking earlier about two people using the Anthony Shots profile, if you go to pages 42, 43, and 44 of the interrogation, there is a clear picture of that. Yes, I did hear about it, RJ, and it is horrible taste. And all I can say is this: when stuff happens like that, whenever we start talking about it, it gives it legs. It gives them more playing power, more time, more air power, whatever you have. If we ignore it, it's the best thing that we can do. I think we have to not play into that. I guess my feeling is that your question is, how do we balance justice and exposure for the girls without trashy content? We don't make it. First of all, we don't make trashy content, and we don't subscribe to trashy content. So if you are a person who goes out there and looks at those things, then you might want to second guess that and just decide not to follow those kinds of creators. I mean, that's just how I feel. That's the best way to stop it. If people stop looking at it and giving it legs, those creators will go on to something else. They just will. It's kind of like when you're talking about, I had my show on Tuesday night about aggressive and harassing behavior online, and it's the same thing. If we don't give them a platform and don't buy into it and don't allow it, they're going to eventually go away. I mean, I went out actually online and looked for what's the best way to handle that kind of scenario. And that's what they say, is to just not play into it. So getting back to the two people using the Anthony Shots profile from the same household. If you go to pages 42, 43, and 44, you're going to see a really clear picture of this. Kagan was tricking his victims. He was using a fake identity, a fake lifestyle. He made promises to them. He flirted with these girls to get them to send him CSAM. I firmly believe that he made these girls think that they were just amazingly beautiful and the best thing ever, and just really built up their confidence. And I really think that that's part of what these predators do. I can tell you from being female that age group, 11 to 14, when girls are just starting to come into their identity of being a woman, it is so difficult. You feel so vulnerable and so unsure of yourself. The body changes are happening, and everything. The hormones are all crazy and unbalanced, and you don't know why you're feeling this way or whatever. And all it takes is someone to pay attention to you and make you not feel like you're just blending into the wall. And when they do that, there they go. They've got a hook in them. And I think that that's what he was doing. But then there's somebody else. There's somebody else in that house. Hold on a second here. I just lost my notes. Thought it was on that page. So there was somebody else in the house who was speaking differently. They were targeting more younger girls or prepubescent girls, whatever. And they were speaking horribly about them and talking about, would you be willing to be with an older man, whatever. I mean, it was like two separate conversations were happening. And again, that goes back to what we were talking about, that we each have a different writing style, speaking style, that identifies us and makes us extremely identifiable. Whether you like to think about it or not, our handwritings are the same way, but so is just how we write with our words and how we express ourselves. So again, I just believe that when you look at that and you know the facts that there were two people in that house communicating differently with this Anthony Shots profile to their victims, it leads you to believe what was truly going on there. Who was the person that might be most likely to be bridge guy or be the person responsible? That's going to be difficult to discern. And if it's difficult for us to discern, think of, law enforcement's got to do that. And they've not only got to figure it out, they've got to be able to prove it. They have to have evidence to be able to take it into court and prove it. So, yes, exactly. Modern crime. Exactly. The second person that was communicating in a much darker manner, a very graphic, communication with these victims. Yeah, so it's definitely two people. And I don't think that they had any um I don't think that they had any trouble discerning that, I guess. I think that, when they started linguistically looking at these two types of people that were talking, they easily and quickly said, "Look, these are two people. This isn't the same person." So, um and yes, Jennifer, I do agree with you. I do agree with you. That there are creators that are mean. Um so, and like I said, we just need to stay away from that and do the best that we can to do that. It's difficult. It's not an easy thing in this community, but I think if we all try to work together, I made a comment recently, I believe it was to Maria, about wouldn't it be wonderful if the creators could use all the positive energy in our community together collectively? Imagine the good that we could all do, whether it be covering a case or whether it's, um, getting messages out to our communities. There's just so much good to be done. Um, and I just would love to see that happen. I would love to see more of that. Um, there's a lot of creators that we have in our community that do collaborations and work together really well. And I just think it's something that we all need to think about, especially when we're putting out our content. But I do want to throw out, if you guys haven't gone to True Crime Maria's um, channel, please go check her out. Like and subscribe. She has a really good video on something that I talked about. Well, a couple of things that I talked about tonight, but she did a really good video about the missing quote unquote iPhone 5C. I think everyone needs to look at that video. I also think that everybody should look at her video that she did about Vegas with Tony and Kagan. And that content is really well worth watching and listening to. So check her out. I believe that oh, Maria, you're fine. You're welcome. Anytime. Like I said, you do just great work, and those videos, both of them, are amazing. So she has really good insights on the Kleins. So she does a lot of research before she does her videos, and it's apparent. So, that was pretty much what I wanted to talk to everybody tonight. It wasn't anything super major, but it was things that I did. I mean, I had to spend a long time today at a location, and I felt like, here I am with my notebook. I might as well take down some notes and stuff. And I thought, well, I can put this together as a live. Hopefully I won't bore you guys all to death. But I know that it gets old. We all want Delphi solved, for one, all of us. We want to be there when this guy goes down. We want to know who he is. I'm sure we all want to know why. I don't know that we'll ever get the total why. I hope we do. I'm preparing myself or trying to prepare myself for all sorts of things to happen when this case is finally adjudicated. I don't know how well we can prepare ourselves, but I realize that this has been a hard road the last 5 years for a lot of us. But one of the things I want to say is just, I say it every show, but one of the things I want to say is, if it's hard for us, imagine what it's like for the families. Imagine what it's like for Mike and Becky and Anna and Carrie and Derek and Kelsey and, you know, all of the family members and their friends who have been waiting as well, and they can't get away from it. We can go cover other things. We can go, you know, we can get offline and take a week off or 2 weeks off or whatever, and try not to think about things. And they don't get to do that. They wake up with it on their mind. They go to bed with it on their mind. And they probably don't sleep well. And it's sad because I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that when the resolution happens, that it's going to take all of that away for them. But I know that they will be able to start to reconcile their grief. And that's what I'm hoping will happen. While it's still an unknown and they know he's out there, it's hard for them to do that. And so I do think that I still said this back in December, but I still believe it. They're trying to break an alibi. Now, who is the alibi? I'm not sure. But I do believe it's alibi related. I believe that there is an alibi they need broken. And let's hope that they can get that. Angel Bear, I do too. I think her videos are top notch. And here, I'm telling you, it's okay, RJ. Just remember that that YouTube doesn't like capitals. YouTube itself doesn't. So they see that as screaming. So try to use your capitals as, you know, try not to do that. Nightbot is not going to like it. He's going to be upset with you if you do. And yeah, no profanity. So yeah, we don't want any of that in here. You know, that's just, I mean, occasionally it might slip, and but it's going to catch you if you do that. So, yeah, the whole pay-per-view wrestling thing, you know, I remember when that came out, and, well, I think it was Maria who told me there wasn't pay-per-view viewing wrestling that night. And I'm like, there wasn't? So, I mean, I'm not a wrestling fan and I don't watch it, so I wouldn't know. But I guess it was on Sunday night that there was a pay-per-view or something. And there's just been a lot of things. There's been a lot of lies. I think that he's been caught in a lot of lies. I definitely think that he is a good liar to a degree. I think that they spent a lot of time creating a fake life on Facebook for him. You know, Tony was making posts and Kagan was making posts, and all these posts were backdated back to the time of the murders. That to me is highly suspicious. Innocent people don't do things like that. So that's just how I feel about it. So, no, Nightbot is not a real person, Digital. He is a bot. He is our pet. We can call Nightbot our pet. He's not a real person. But he's very helpful. And Jennifer is the one who told me about him. And she was so kind to bring him into the channel and help us. So, and that will help when, you know, as our chats get bigger and we have more people come, he will help keep order and help moderators do other things. So, and I like that about it. So is there anything else that you guys wanted to talk about or ask tonight? Is there any other topics that anybody wanted to say while we were still here? Yeah. So what I'm going to do, we're going to add links to him. I'm sorry, Jennifer. My whole life became crazy today. I did not get my PayPal set up. I will do that though. And I'm going to get that set up. So she'll have that. And we're going to add some links so we can start taking some donations. And yeah, so that's what's going to happen there. But I hope you guys got some good information from me today. Just some thoughts that I had as I was sitting there, and I thought, I'm just going to start jotting things down. And I know I was all over the place, but sometimes that happens. Thank you, John. I try. I am not a perfect person by any sense of the word. I have made many mistakes. In this genre, whether it be when I was over on Reddit, I do still run my Reddit sub. In fact, I went over to Reddit yesterday and made a post and apologized to them because I've hardly been around for 2 months. My community has been basically thriving without me, and I felt guilty. So I made a post to them and apologized, and it's really difficult to keep both things going, but I I know it would be nice to have one of those, but we're going to always have people around the case that are not here for the right reasons. And as long as everybody is on the same page with that and aware of it, you can help that. And like I said, somebody told me yesterday, which I thought it was with all the stuff that's been going on in our community, and most of you are very well aware of it. With all that stuff that's been going on, it's hard to stay focused on what we need to focus on. And I would really rather focus on the cases and the families and the good work that we could do rather than focus on the negativity. And that's why I did my community post. I really want to try to get back to being more positive and a more positive thinker, because that's who I truly am. And so, yeah, Reddit will what? As of today, Reddit will ban you if you Metallica kill them all. That is weird. I did not know that. Thank you, Outside of the Grid. I appreciate it. I like hearing that people feel things are calmer here and stuff. I will tell you, I learned about my chill factor and keeping things chill from Graz. He is my mentor. He's where I started. I was in his chat and was a member of his channel, and then he modded me. And so that's kind of how things went. But I know that it's just a better environment, and we all want to be in a better environment. Who wants to come online and listen to chaos and fighting and bickering and stuff? I definitely don't. So I feel better. I'm glad I did it. And we'll move forward and see how things go. What did Nightbot do? Thank you, RJ. I appreciate you guys very much. After all, I wouldn't, if without you, I wouldn't have a channel. I mean, it's like I could come in here every night and talk for a couple of hours to nobody, but that would be kind of silly. But I do know people watch a lot of my stuff on replay, and so I do appreciate them as well. My views, you guys, there's only 50 of you in here right now, and my videos get, and my lives get, thousands of views. So I know other people are watching it. Rex, I really don't know how that went down. Of course, it's possible. It's definitely possible. Graz was here listening. I don't know if he's still in here or not, digital, but he was here in the beginning. So, he may had to have ducked out to take care of things around the old homestead. But yeah, Summer Girl, I can guarantee you that those interrogators knew exactly what they were doing with Kagan. That was all very well planned and thought out, and what they were trying to get out of him. We may not know what that is, but I trust them. They're the law enforcement guys. They know far better than me. Oh, Corgi, thank you. Oh, I love it. I love it. I watch YouTube on my TV all the time. I'm so glad that you're here, though. I so appreciate you. Hey, Vanessa. Good to have you here. Yeah, it's nice to have the laid back ones sometimes. I agree. I know I've heard people say they think I preach a lot. I've never thought of myself as a preacher, but I do speak passionately about certain topics. I will say that. But yeah. Oh no, it's a story about me and him from ages ago, just kind of quirky. She did, didn't she? She did a great job setting him up. I think he does really a great job. And I'm so thankful for her. I'm thankful for all of you guys. I have the best mods. I absolutely have the best mods. I will be the first one to say that. I try to, Corgi Mama. I do try to educate. I do try to find things to talk about to help educate us. I like to learn things. I feel we can all learn things. We're never too old to stop learning. Yeah. Thanks, Annie. I'm so glad you're back with us. I missed you. Missed you. I hope you're feeling okay tonight. I'm so glad you're with us. Yeah, John, I have to admit, I took my mods from Graz. They were Graz mods. We're all moderators in Graz's channel as well. So, they became my friends, and they're just great people. So, hey, Tamara, it's good to see you. Haven't seen you for a while. So anyway, guys, I am going to hop off here. It's been a really, really long day and I'm tired, but I wanted to get that stuff out there for you. And I hope everybody will come on Saturday for Perry Freeman of Cop Facts. It should be a fantastic show. And I think that you guys will really, really enjoy it. Please like and subscribe to help the channel. And again, I appreciate you all, and I hope that everyone will be safe out there. It was so nice to see everybody. I miss all of you. But anyway, good night, you guys, and have a wonderful rest of your evening.